Hey, it's your boy Dave Cameo from Squawking Dead, and I wanted to say some brief words about what this holiday, Independence Day, 4th of July, means to me. I was born here in Brooklyn in Maimonides Hospital in 1979, moved briefly to New Jersey, but what you don't know, or you may not know, some of you do, based on the our episode 100 recap of 5 parts, that my family came from Syria. My mom escaped Syria by way of Lebanon, then France, then Israel. Um, you're talking about a condition where she had to stay in hiding in Lebanon. Any letters that she wrote, she would have to be very careful in how she worded it. She'd have to send it out carefully. The government would then redact some of the letters sent to my grandmother. Uh, so it's absolutely crazy to think about how she lived in that time. This little underground railroad of taking her to Lebanon, sneaking her onto a Pan Am flight to France, and then back to Israel to emancipate her. Even in Israel, there was a language barrier. You're talking about somebody who did not learn Hebrew in Syria. She knew French, a little bit of French, and mostly Arabic, and that's it. Um, but she did her best. She worked in a bank, and she stayed there as long as possible. My dad had some issues as well. Emigrated to Israel as a younger child in boarding school because that was the best they could do for him. Eventually making it to the Israeli army, and then you know wanted to stay there a little longer, and then eventually made his way to New York City. Courted my mom via letters, and then brought her home. The whole point of the story is that while both my parents were in Syria, they both faced systemic hardships from the government. They did not like Jews in the Middle East, period. Whether it was beatings, whether it was removing them from prominent positions in their community, their beloved community. In some respects, my grandfather on my dad's side was very well respected within the community, but they just weren't having it. A few too many complaints against Jews, and your prominent position is removed. And that he never fully recovered from that. He died of that depression eventually. Never could find work again, and it struck a huge blow. His honor was crushed. My mother's brothers were beaten and thrown in jail all the time just for being Jewish. So, in either case, coming to America and really finding our way here, well, I mean, I've never had more of appreciation, especially in times like these where we survived a pandemic relatively unscathed. Most of us, I think. And even those who may not have gotten through okay have the support of many. We've never been in more generous time, equipped with all these recovery measures for us to be able to bounce back. Every year seems to be better than the next, and yet we still find ourselves questioning certain things and pushing back against having our grievances. And I think that is the promise of America, is that it's not that we're perfect. It's not that America is the best thing in the world. What makes America great is the words striving, for a more perfect union. That's what makes the promise of America so great. It says it doesn't boast. It says we know that all men are inherently created equal, that we all have inalienable rights, but we are striving for a more perfect union, meaning it is not perfect now and never will be perfect, but we will always continue to progress towards something that makes it a more perfect union. And it's never been we've never backslid. We have our problems, but we work them out. We figure it out. The people rise up and they push the needle. They elect the right people. And the whole thing, this is all this to say, is I have a keen appreciation of how awesome this country is and how it will continue to be awesome. That is the promise of our forefathers um, that has not shown itself to be anything less than it is. It stood the test of time. Well, happy birthday, America. Thank you for existing for my family to free and find asylum to. And without this, none of my ideas, none of me would be possible. Thank you.